West Coast have got a little problem that's bubbling under the surface. G'day from the West, Lucas here, and welcome back to another Footy West video. Now today, we are going to be talking about something that's probably chipping away a bit in the mind of a lot of fans, and I reckon as well at the club. Before we get started, if you like what you see here on Footy West, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell so you never miss a thing. We talk West Coast, we talk Freo, and even some league-wide videos as well, you know. So with that said, we'll jump into it, and the captaincy at the West Coast Eagles is a very interesting point of discussion. I think that they've got the right people in the leadership group, but the way it's been officially formatted probably could be a bit better. For the last couple of years now, West Coast have gone with a co-captaincy look, something that not many teams do, but there are always a couple that go down that road. I'm not sure if it's the right way to go for this West Coast side though. And one of the reasons why I think that is because in a rebuilding side, when you're at the bottom and you're trying to rebuild yourself back up to the top, I think it can be a bit confusing if you're getting too many messages from a lot of people. And co-captaincy, while I expect Liam Duggan and Oscar Allen work well together, I just think sometimes if you got co-captains, you can get these mixed messages from these two captains saying different things to you. Whereas if you just had a sole captain, it's one captain's message, one coach's message, and these are the things you're told, and this is how we're going to do it, this is what we're doing at the club, and stuff like that. So while I expect co-captains work together well, I just think it's almost better for a rebuilding side to have that sole voice to look up to on field. And then you've obviously got Liam Duggan and Oscar Allen as the co-captains. Now, this is a very interesting point of discussion as well, because Oscar Allen, he's not re-signed beyond this year, obviously free agency coming up for him. So that's something in itself, that's a discussion in itself. Do you want an uncontracted co-captain? Probably not, but the way I look at it, it's a win-win with Oscar Allen. You win if he stays because you're signing up a good leader. He can definitely work on his leadership skills, I will say that. We haven't seen him front up in the media too often, but I expect he's probably a pretty good on-field leader. So there is room for improvement there for him, but no doubt he is a quality player. Let's not get that wrong. But on the other hand, if you lose him, you would get a good compensation pick, and we expect West Coast to finish down the bottom again this year. So all of a sudden, if Oscar Allen walks, you end up with sort of 2 top 5, top 10 picks out of that one. So that's a bonus for them. So it's almost a win-win situation, really, if you look at it. So that's some sort of optimism for the Eagles. I know a lot of people don't want to lose him because he is quite a fan favourite with many at the West Coast Eagles and within the West Coast Eagles fans. So I understand why they don't want to lose him, but at the same time, you're a rebuilding club and any picks you get in are good. So I actually think that's a win-win in terms of Oscar Allen there. But re-signing your captain is a pretty big thing to do. So I expect if they re-sign him in the middle of the year and he commits to the Eagles, I expect they'll probably continue with the co-captaincy. But if you get to the end of the year and Oscar Allen is looking like moving with his free agency, then I reckon they'll definitely consider going back to that sole captaincy. And that will leave Liam Duggan. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a good speaker. And when you talk about your captains, right, it's tricky because I think that captains not necessarily the best player right now. Liam Duggan is, in my opinion, not the best player on the team. There are quite a few ahead of him, but I think he's a really good leader in the sense that he speaks to these young guys well. He speaks to the media well. He gets messages across well, in my opinion, from what I've seen. But in terms of on-field, he's not the best player. He's not the worst. But with your captain, sometimes a lot of clubs do opt for their best players, and a lot of time their best players are the best speakers and the best leaders as well. But with Liam Duggan, I think he's a very, very good leader, probably a better leader than he is a player. So I wouldn't be opposed to going Liam Duggan as the sole captain of the club. But I am in favour for the sole captaincy, and going into next year with obviously new things now, you got a new coach, new song, new standards, new game styles. So I think it's just time to refresh that, go back to the sole captaincy. And what I would do is, it sounds strange, but I would give it to Liam Baker. And we saw something similar with Adelaide doing it with Jordan Dawson. He obviously went to them, joined them at the start of the 2022 season, played a season there, played pretty well. I think he was a defender to start with. And by the second year, 2023, he was captain of the club. And I think we could see a similar road with Liam Baker. He was highly rated at Richmond by Damien Hardwick, by Adam Uze. They all rated him very well internally as a leader. So I think he can definitely go down that road at West Coast. We've seen him already front up numerous times, speaking about the club, speaking about the performances, and he's been here, 4 or 5 months and played 1 game. Like, that's unheard of. But I think he's similar to Liam Duggan. He's a very good speaker. I think he knows the game very well. He would lead the young guys very well. Seems like he's got their backs behind them. And he's also a very good player as well. So you lead from it. You lead from example. I don't always think Liam Duggan leads by example. I think he's sort of a vulnerability at times, a liability. But I think Liam Baker would lead from the front and be like, okay, boys, this is how we play. Because I really rate Liam Baker as a player. I think he was a very good pickup. So that's something that I would explore. And I imagine he's in the captaincy group as well. So that's one name that I think could be a captaincy option. I think Elliot Yeo probably would have been named captain if he had a better record with injury and playing minutes and games every year. We've seen he's a very good leader for Harley Reid. We saw last year Harley Reid played very well when Elliot Yeo was there to support him and lead by example. And I think he would have been a very good captain if he'd been able to stay fit for extended periods of time. So I think he's another option that they could go with. I don't think they will. He's probably got 2-3 years left in him, and I don't know how much he'll get onto the park. When he does, though, he's a very good player for us and he's very important. So I don't think they'll go down that road. But I suppose if you look at it, there's probably not too many options. You could go with Jack Graham. They've brought him in similar to Liam Baker. Tim Kelly's not very good option if you ask me. So there's few options if you're going to go with sole captaincy. So if you were to ask me, if they ditched the co-captaincy, I would say they would go with Liam Duggan taking it over by himself, or they would give it to Liam Baker. So that's my thoughts sort of on the captaincy situation at West Coast. I actually think it's a pretty important topic. Like I said, for a rebuilding side, they need to have clarity. And I'm not a fan of co-captaincy. I prefer sole captains. But I mean, co-captaincy works. We saw it with Brisbane last year, Lachie Neale and Harris Andrews. So there's proof that it works, but personally, I am not a fan of it. So if you were asking me, I would probably go into next year and I'd be like, Bakes, do you want the captaincy? And hopefully he would say yes. And then I'd give it to him. I would make Liam Baker the West Coast captain for 2026 onwards. But that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think. Are you a fan of co-captaincy? Are you a fan of sole captaincy? Who would you make captain? And all that good stuff. But that rounds out everything for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again back soon on Footy West.